Toes Behind Knees guy here. Thank you for listening and watching. This episode is on YouTube with visuals, including my little baby showing his mobility, because what we're talking about in this episode is one simple point. It was a realization I had of how do you exercise to protect your body. And I have a 1-year-old, and that's what helped me come to this conclusion. Watching him, I realize he's in all kinds of positions, but he doesn't tweak his back. He doesn't, tweak his knee doing something. And I've thrown out my back in the past prior to ATG training, just getting out of the car awkwardly or things of that nature. So here's my baby going through all kinds of positions, but he's so mobile, he can't hurt himself. However, he's not strong, so the outside world is very dangerous against him. So now look at a sport like football. Your strength directly protects you against the opposition. The weaker you are, the more likely you are to get hurt. And so we have this strength on one side, and as we get older, we all get stronger as we get older. Some of us do strength training to greater or lesser degrees, but the human body gets stronger as it goes through puberty and develops. But most of us start losing mobility to some degree. So we're more likely to get injured ourselves. We're more likely to pull a hamstring sprinting when we're 30 or 40 than we are when we're 6, 7 years old. I grew up and I never remember any of us kids like pulling a hamstring sprinting, but I see it all the time now in adults. So this mobility factor of not being able to injure ourselves, and then the strength factor of being more protected against the outside world. So this illuminates how do we train for protection is we get stronger through our mobility. And I'm going to use just 3 exercises as examples so we can see this visually on the screen. The first one, ATG basic number 2, chase the perfect rep on ATG split squat, ass to grass split squat. My business is Athletic Truth Group. I made that so that it would sound cool ATG because of this concept of ass to grass, full range of motion. So with this ass to grass split squat, I'm not only going through a full range of motion on the front leg, I'm lengthening my hip flexors on the back leg. So the stronger I get on this, I'm loading, but I'm not letting my back knee touch the floor. That back leg is not limp. The back leg is working the entire time. So I'm getting mobile through those back hip flexors as well. This plus a full stretch, you could call it a Romanian deadlift, a hamstring deadlift, a stiff leg deadlift. We'll look at it on the screen, what I'm talking about. But the idea is that I'm deadlifting, but through a hamstring stretch. So I'm not going more weight than I can handle through my full mobility. Now, the angles of the back leg on ass to grass split squat, and then the front leg, I often do it offset on Romanian deadlift. If you put those angles together, you have a splits. So one of the things that makes me unique is that I can throw down dunks and I can drop down and do a splits. Not a lot of people can have that explosiveness and do the splits. And it's very rare for someone to be able to do a splits who doesn't stretch for the splits. So I don't even do stretching for the splits. In fact, the only static stretch I do at all in my program currently is the couch stretch. Everything else is movement-based. The couch stretch I do, it's a static stretch. However, I'm actually trying to contract my glute. I'm trying to contract my quads and press against the wall. So this would almost be more like an isometric strength exercise through a stretch position. So even then, I'm never just limp in a stretch. In my entire program currently, everything is strength through length. So that's what's kind of unique about the fact that I have the explosiveness to do these dunks, despite being not a super tall guy, short arms, but I can drop down and do the front splits, and it's not from stretching, it's from strength through length. And I mentioned that I was going to discuss a third exercise involved in this. And with kids, they have this incredible squat mobility. And I've been able to restore my squat mobility because of that ass to grass split squat, but also because of adding the seated good morning where I'm trying to get my abs to the bench. And again, I do that for strength. I currently, like in my working sets, I use up to 80% of my body weight on those full range of motion split squats and on those abs to bench seated good mornings, which lengthens out the glutes. So all this stuff is on YouTube if you want to see the visuals, if you're listening along and it doesn't make sense. But so far what we've established is I can maintain my front splits off this ass to grass split squat plus full stretch Romanian deadlift. Literally maintain those angles for the splits from strength training. So it's making me run faster, jump higher, and it's making me more protected because I'm strong through every ounce of range that I'm gaining. And then for the squat mobility, If we put that ass to grass split squat together with this abs to bench seated good morning, you quite literally duplicate the angles of squat mobility. So there you go. Those are 3 exercises that I do in the ATG program that demonstrate what I'm talking about. But hopefully this got across to you. My intention of this podcast was just to get across this idea that it's neither just the mobility nor the strength that fully protect us. Strength protects us against the outside world, but then the mobility protects us from tweaking within our own body. As we get older, we then start to lose both of those. We start to lose our strength and our mobility. So this is a double whammy against us for getting hurt. And just by changing the way we exercise, we can do something to improve our odds to become more protected while getting more athletic at the same time. So I think that's pretty cool. It's simple stuff. So I'm very passionate about it. I think it's worth knowing about. I've lived 2 different lives because of these things. Age 20, not just unable to grab the rim, but my nickname was Old Man because I was so stiff. I was having surgeries. I was hooked on painkillers. So hopefully you understand why I'm here day in, day out talking kind of about the same stuff, but over time figuring out different ways to explain it, still coming to my own realization. So shout out to my little 1-year-old for showing me his incredible mobility and making me realize that he doesn't hurt within himself, because this better explains how I've been able to change my body and why so many people are getting such unique results from the ATG program. Thank you so much for listening, watching. Much love. Have a good week.